3 years ago, Kia brought their little Picanto onto the Australian market. It comes into the micro segment, the smallest segment in our market, which wasn't doing particularly well. A couple of the cars there had been around for a while in their design, and they were cars that didn't look particularly special, and they gave you a feeling that they were the sort of vehicle you bought because you could afford it rather than necessarily that you wanted it. A year later, they brought in the new model, which had a manual transmission as an option and a number of variants. By 2018, they had 69% of the segment. So they were swamping it in many ways. Here was a little car which had some good features, a good package, and a 7-year warranty. Their latest version is a GT model. Nice lot of marking down low, gives it a good overall appearance. 16-inch wheels, improves the outer look of it as well. Now, the engine's interesting. Instead of having a 4-cylinder normally aspirated, this one drops the capacity down to 1 litre and to 3 cylinders, but turbocharges it. It has 19% more power, but it has 41% more torque than the base non-aspirated 4-cylinder engine. And they get that by a turbocharging, which does a number of things. It gives you a nice lot more torque, but it also gives it to you at a lower rev. It's not punch in the back, and if you are overtaking, you still have to look carefully at it. I was saying they do that with turbocharging, but they've also done a couple of other things. Direct injection and clever things like an electronic wastegate with the turbocharge. So as a package, it's not a big engine, 1 litre, but it is giving you good performance in what is basically a real little nice runabout with a bit of performance to it as well. And you seem to get the best of both worlds, because it is rated as actually a better fuel consumption than the normal version, the non-aspirated. Its combined fuel consumption is 4.8 litres per 100, that's its rating. I didn't get that even on a very smooth motorway where you would expect, and any hill really made quite a difference to it. It's not bad. I mean, we're still talking very low numbers, and if you buy this car, perhaps fuel consumption is not your top priority. You are buying performance, and so you are likely to be more focused on that. So overall, interior, I find Korean cars and Kias have simple, basic interiors, but they are functional. I think it fits this Picanto well. I think perhaps in the upper models, which are still very similar, I would want a little bit more ambience. But interior with insert colours in the seats and on the doors, you get this sense that this is a car that you've bought for special reasons and because you particularly like it.
The external features of the car continue the stubby front and rear look that is totally fitting for this class of vehicle because it creates its own image rather than being just an awkward scaled-down version of a bigger car. The larger 16-inch alloy wheels with lower profile 45 aspect ratio tyres adds to the sporty image. The spare wheel is only for temporary emergency use. Kia has achieved a stiff body shell with 44% of the structure being made from advanced high-strength steels. The stronger steel has been used to strengthen the floor pan, roof rails and engine bay, as well as the A and B pillars. The Picanto GT has clever, simple yet effective contrast body accents, twin exhausts, a body kit and GT badge to add to the appearance. It will be available in white or premium colours of silver, black or red. In the interior, I could get very good legroom for the driver. An even bigger fellow I know likes the car because he too can fit into the driver's seat. The rear seat passengers do not have a lot of legroom, especially if the front seats are right back. but for the size of car, the interior space is very credible. The seats have red colour inserts, and there is some fancy fascia pattern on the inside of the front doors. The rear luggage compartment is very small, but you can fold the rear seats down in a 60-40 split. The car has a telescopic steering wheel and a 2.6-inch multifunction trip computer for the driver between the speedo and the tacho. In the centre of the dash is a 7-inch infotainment touchscreen. Like all Kias at the moment, you need to plug in your phone to get voice actuation through Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. The car has a rear view camera and rear parking sensors. The 1-litre turbocharged 3-cylinder engine produces 74 kilowatts at 4,500 revs and 172 newton metres, peaking between 1,500 and 4,000 revs per minute. One of the clever features of the engine is a dual thermostat split cooling system, which allows the block and cylinder heads to be cooled independently. The main thermostat controls the flow of coolant to the cylinder heads above 88 degrees centigrade to reduce knocking, while the engine block thermostat shuts off coolant flow above 105 degrees centigrade to reduce friction and improve efficiency. The improved efficiency of the engine has also reduced the emissions. It gets its power to the front wheels via a 5-speed manual gearbox, which is a bit agricultural in shifting gears. The combined fuel consumption is rated at 4.8 litres per 100 kilometres. The little 1-litre engine does its work well without being a hot hatch. The suspension has been tuned for Australian conditions, and it allowed you to be aggressive with a good degree of confidence. Changes to the steering mapping give a quicker response and enhanced stability when under load. The car does come with cruise control. A great feature of this car is that it has a 4.7 metre turning circle. I have just got out of a family ute with a turning circle of 12.5 metres. I know which one I'd prefer to go to the shops in and park each night at home. We will review more fully the drivability of the car after a more thorough test. In terms of safety, the early Picanto models were tested in 2011. That was a car that was sold in New Zealand but not Australia. And the next model was also tested in 2013. In both cases they received a 5-star rating. But the most recent model was tested again in 2018 and achieved a 4-star rating. The vehicles haven't declined in safety, it is just that the barrier has been raised by the testing authority. In terms of safety, the new Picanto GT has automated emergency braking, 6 airbags, ABS, stability controls, hill ascent control, vehicle stability management, torque vectoring braking, emergency stop signal, forward collision warning and straight line stability. It doesn't have such things as blind spot detection or lane departure warning. So to wrap it all up, Kia says its baby car has been given a dose of attitude. It's not a sports car, but a perky little runabout. With a drive-away price of just under $18,000 and a 7-year warranty, it is a good performer that is relatively easy to use, cheap to own and fun to drive. Last year, the passenger car market in Australia declined by 16%, but the micro market increased by 9.5%, all because of the Picanto. Sales of the other cars in this category are declining, or in some cases have dropped out of the market altogether. The suspension and features for the Picanto GT was established some 2 years ago, but there was some hesitation, apparently not from the Australian representatives, to bring out a manually driven car. They should not have waited. The Picanto hits the spot in the very little cars particularly well.